Welcome to driver training here at Aachen Depot. Here you will be taken through the operation of a BR442 Talent2 electric multiple unit. During this brief introduction, we will go through the train preparation, critical driving controls and passenger operations. When you are ready, climb aboard to get started. In normal operation, this unit draws electricity from the overhead catenary via a pantograph. However, since the pantograph is currently in the down position, we have to power the initial systems by priming the auxiliary battery. Take a seat in the driver's position. With power available, use the master switch to unlock the control desk and turn on the multifunction displays. The reverser determines the direction of travel. Now activate the pantograph so that it raises up and makes contact with the overhead catenary. Set the exterior lights for normal operation. Set the indirect brake to release. This brake is generally not required during normal operation, but can be used in cases of emergency. finally disengage the parking brake. Use the combined power brake handle to apply power and get going. Coasting is a method used to efficiently maintain speed and reduce motor stress and maintenance requirements. Keeping to speed limits is important. If you begin overspeeding, apply a small amount of brake by moving the handle into braking range. Take a quick glance of the platform to ensure all is safe before unlocking the doors. It's time to get going. Set the doors to locked. Proceed to the next stop at Aachen-Rote Erde, unguided this time, and see how you get on. Good work. That concludes all of the basics of operating this train.
In this training module, you will be taken through the operation of this BR422 Electric Multiple Unit. Insert the reverser key to begin. Set the reverser to forward. This controls the direction of travel. Set the headlights to indicate that this unit is operational. For this introduction, you will be driving the train a short distance and performing passenger operations. Open the passenger doors to allow boarding. Close the doors before departure. The train is now ready to depart. Now you've built up some speed, you can return the master controller to the off position to begin coasting. On level grades, you can coast to maintain your speed, reducing energy consumption and stress on the motors. When coasting, always remain vigilant of the gradient, as changes could cause the train to speed up or slow down. Keeping to speed limits is important. If you begin overspeeding, apply a small amount of braking force by moving the master controller into the braking range. approaching the station. Begin applying a small amount of braking force by moving the master controller into the braking range. Nice job. The train has safely come to a stop. You can now use the passenger door controls to open. Close the doors and drive to the next station unguided. Good work. That concludes all of the basics of operating this train.
In this training module, you'll be learning about vehicles called control cars or cab cars. In the UK, they're often called driving van trailer or DVT cars, and you will likely come across other names for them too. The name cab car will be used for the rest of this module to keep it simple. Cab cars are essentially a passenger coach with a driving cab in them, but most importantly, they have no means of propulsion themselves. There are no engines or motors, so they can't move under their own power. The way that a cab car works is it will remotely control a locomotive at the other end of the train, and this is where it's important to understand their behavior as being a little different to the cab experience of the locomotive itself. There may be a little lag in control response, and you may not quite have the same instrument outputs as you do in the locomotive itself. For this module, you'll be taking this German Doppelstock cab car, which has a BR442 locomotive at the other end, setting it up and then driving it forwards to a marker at the other end of the yard area. Revisit this module a couple of times to try different things out and get familiar with the subtle difference when driving from the cab car. One of the biggest and most obvious differences when driving from the cab car is that there's a lot less sound. Since all the motors and fans are at the other end of the train, it can be a little disconcerting at first. Engage the brake system by turning this key. Put the reverser in forwards. Turn on the headlights and set the signal light switch to headlights. Ensure the doors are closed. Release the brakes and apply some power to get moving. It feels a little odd at first. All the audio cues you're used to in the cab aren't present here, so you just need to give the locomotive time to react to your commands. Experiment with some power and some brakes and see how the train reacts. You may find some sharp jolts happening because of how the slack is being bunched up or stretched out by the loco at the back. You can minimize this by making your first power or brake applications lighter and then increasing them. You'll get used to this with practice and experience. Cut the power and coast the rest of the This is far enough. Bring the train to a stop now by applying the train brake. This is just a brief introduction to cab cars. The changing ends for cab cars training module goes into more depth about both the cab car and the BR442 locomotive on the other end of the train. That concludes this module. If you wish to replay, you can come back to it at any time via the training center.